Hey, what's up? My name is John Bonjour. I am a comic artist and film enthusiast. I have drawn some art and I would like to enthuse mostly about some film today. We are talking about Captain America: Brave New World. So Captain America: Brave New World is the newest installment in the MCU. It was directed by Julius Onah, stars Anthony Mackie, Harrison Ford, a series of other people, as these MCU movies tend to do. And I don't know how to start this. I think the most important thing is to enter with a couple of pieces of auxiliary data. Piece number one, I wanted this movie to be exceptional. I wanted this to be the best Captain America movie for two reasons. One, because I just really like this version of Cap, and I want all MCU movies to be good because I want people to stop complaining about them. More than that, I want this version of Cap to have something really exceptional. I think Anthony Mackie deserves that. I think this version of Captain America deserves that. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is I wanted all the idiots to shut the hell up on the internet. I was hoping that this was going to be the thing to prove them all wrong and say, hey, we finally have a good, really rock-solid Captain America movie with this Captain America, so shut up and stop talking about how he can't be Captain America, because that's stupid. I still think that this is mostly a good case for that, but it is a shame that it is not unequivocal. I will say, if I were a lesser reviewer, I would fabricate a stronger opinion on this movie. I would be really aggressive against it or very, very pro for it, saying it's the best thing ever made, because those are the videos that people watch. The views are gonna be rough. I can already feel it. But I don't wanna lie. I don't wanna pretend like I feel a different way than I do. So here's my thoughts. Captain America: Brave New World. It's okay. It's probably the most okay movie in the MCU. I'm gonna dive into some spoilers toward the very, very end of the video, but most of this review is gonna be non-spoiler because I think this is the kind of movie that you should know about. I think this is the kind of thing that we should be talking about, and if you haven't already seen it, I don't want you to feel dissuaded from watching the video. So I'm gonna talk about some of the bad things that I don't think work, some of the things that I think work really well, and then we're gonna get into some spoilers. I think the main thing that this movie has going against it is this is clearly a film that was re-edited, reshot, rechanged. It's not the original intention of the movie. Now, there's a lot of people that have been saying for a long time that there were massive reshoots and huge changes and lots of things that I don't know are true. I have no idea. The director has recently come out and said a lot of that's not true. I tend to believe that, yeah, a lot of it isn't true. I think, and this is gonna shock you, I think there's some people out there that want this movie to fail. I really do, and I think they want it to fail because Captain America isn't super wicked white. But I also think that watching this movie, what we have presented in front of us, it would be insane to say that none of it's true. A lot of this movie that feels really chopped together. There's things that build to nothing. There's things that don't make any sense. There's a lot of little holes and issues throughout the movie that just feel misbalanced. And it's even scene to scene. Sometimes there'll be a scene that's really incredible and I am all the way locked in, and then the next scene just feels out of place and didn't quite connect. There's also things that just kind of end up feeling anticlimactic. There's a version of this movie, this exact story, that I think would work really well, but the way that they play it, a lot of it just kind of doesn't pay off. It's clear that they wanted to get to whatever their third act is, which I'm not gonna tell you, although they kind of told you in all of the marketing. Take, for example, there's a scene, and it won't be a huge spoiler, I'll leave out the spoilers. There's a scene in this movie where Captain America and Joaquin Torres, the new Falcon, which I guess that's a spoiler if you didn't know that, but whatever, he's in the marketing. The point being, those two characters, they infiltrate this kind of prison-y thing, base sort of thing, and it's so boring. It's this thing that it's interesting, it's building, there's tension, they have to kind of go into this subsection of this prison and all the doors are closing behind them and you can feel it getting closer and closer and tighter, and then there's a confrontation with someone and you feel like, okay, this is the bit, like in Winter Soldier, which I won't be comparing the two very much because that's not fair, because that's one of the greatest MCU movies we have. So Winter Soldier, there's a scene where Captain America and the Black Widow, they invade the Hydra base, that's kind of the US military base. That scene ends with the whole thing exploding and they have to escape really narrowly, and that's a very climactic ending. That's something that's interesting, it's exciting. This ends with kind of a fight, like an interesting-ish fight with a bunch of soldier guys, and then they walk out. There's even a bit where Wilson just reaches through some bars and pushes a button to unlock a door, which it's like, horrible prison design, just quite honestly, maybe the worst prison design ever. But beyond that, it's this thing where you expect it to be a much more exciting, climactic ending. And in the end, it's a pretty fun fight. It's a fight that feels, and I hate to be this guy, but it's a fight that feels a lot like a Disney Plus show. I also think the one thing that they haven't shown you in the trailers is who the villain is. Now, if you are in the nerd circles at all, you already know who it is. But I'm not going to tell you because, well, I will tell you with the spoilers, but I'm not going to tell you right now because I think it's an interesting reveal, especially if you don't know already. So, leaving out names, I was really kind of bummed out by the villain. From a nerd perspective, it's very interesting that he is in this movie. It's kind of wild to me that they're pulling on a thread that I never thought they would pull on. All of that is true. It's interesting to see that in a movie in 2025 when I really thought we had kind of walked past that and gone, that could have been something. That being said, this character is done in quite possibly the least interesting way you could do him. I can't think of how to explain this point without saying who it is, so I'm going to tell you at the end of the video with the spoilers. I'll talk about him later. But the last major flaw of this movie, the thing that I am immediately frustrated by, is not the movie's fault, it's the marketing. Once again, Marvel, stop showing too much in your trailer. Stop showing things from the third act. Third act should be a no-touch zone. The trailers should not have anything from our final act of the movie. It should not have some of the most important things from the final act of the movie. I guess it's a spoiler in terms of the structure of the film. So if you're super worried about it, this is gonna be my last bad point. Skip like 30 seconds and move on. Red Hulk is the third act of this movie. The third act is Captain America versus Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross as the Red Hulk, which is an interesting thing. It's a good, exciting thing. It's a fun part of the movie. I think they do Red Hulk really well. We'll get to all that. We should not have known that he was in this movie. I am so frustrated that the marketing spoiled that Red Hulk was even a part of this. If anything, if you had to do something, have just the shot of his hand kind of starting to grow, and we would at least feel the excitement of like, oh, what's Red Hulk gonna look like? Instead, they opted to show most of Red Hulk in the trailers, and that is so frustrating to me. Most of the final act, most of the final battle, you can kind of piece together through the trailers. There were no major surprises in this movie because of the marketing. There were surprises in the movie, but you already told us about them, so what are we doing here? There's a bit in this movie where they kind of go, ooh, is he gonna turn into Red Hulk on some other thing? And I'm like, no, because I know where he's gonna turn into Red Hulk, because you showed us where he's gonna turn into Red Hulk. All the stakes are gone. The Marvel marketing, please stop doing this. I'm begging you. You're doing a good job with Thunderbolts. They're doing a wonderful job hiding who the villain is in Thunderbolts. I know because, again, I'm a nerd. But they're doing a good job hiding it, and I think they should keep doing a good job hiding it, because that could be a really fun surprise if you keep it, if you can just shut it for 2 months. Just don't say anything, and then we'll enjoy it all together. That does bring me to the good of the movie, and the most important thing is Anthony Mackie is incredible. He's just wonderful. He's so charismatic, he's exciting, he pulls off the action, he feels fun, he feels solid. He has this very strong emotional moral code. He's optimistic. I like that he is a different Captain America than the one we already had. He's more acrobatic in his fighting. He's more optimistic in his viewpoints. Steve Rogers' Captain America was always looking back. He was always trying to get to be the moral of what we used to be. And that's a good, beautiful thing. And I love that, and it fits his character. I love that Sam Wilson is always looking forward. He always wants to be better than we were before. And I think that's a really interesting viewpoint. I also appreciate that they've kept his, counseling side. I love that element of his character. I think it's interesting that he wants to talk people down. He doesn't want to fight. He's not looking to get into a fight. He'll do it if he has to, but he doesn't enjoy it necessarily. And I think that's a really interesting element of his character. I couldn't be more excited to see him show up in other things. I hope he gets another movie, because I want him to have something just rock solid. I want him to have his Winter Soldier, which, by the way, this is probably kind of a hot take. I think this is just about as good as Captain America: The First Avenger. This is significantly more disjointed than that movie, but I also think it reaches higher than that movie did. I think this is a good start for Anthony Mackie's Captain America. Other things, Thunderbolt Ross is really fun in this movie. Harrison Ford is a really, really solid replacement. It's a shame William Hurt passed away, because I think he would have been very interesting in this movie. I would have liked to see how he handled a lot of that, and it would be more cohesive. But again, he passed away. So what are you gonna, what can you do? And casting Harrison Ford was a really good call. I think he brings the emotional beats. He brings that solid, aggressive energy, but he's trying to do better. Ross's character arc is really solid in this movie. He's trying to do better. He's not always succeeding at that, which is classic Thunderbolt Ross. I think he grows in a really cool way. And Red Hulk looks sweet. He looks sweet. Like, I know we already saw him in the trailers, but the effects are good. Mostly, there's a couple of the effects are mostly good. I wish we had seen this in maybe more the heyday of Hulk as a character. I think Hulk versus Red Hulk would have been a very interesting thing, which, not really a point against the movie, but it is kind of a strange omission to not have Hulk at all. He's not in the post-credits, which is kind of what I thought it was going to be. He just is not involved, which is going to make for a really awkward conversation between him and Captain America later. I also think in general the action is solid in this movie. I know I was saying earlier that a lot of it can feel a little Disney Plus-y, and that is true, especially that one scene. But the action, when they really go for it, the opening action set piece is a ton of fun. There's a very aerial combat sequence later in the movie, which I think is spectacular. I had the thought in that scene that this is what we should be doing with this Captain America. This kind of thing is what we should be doing. It's so exciting to watch. It felt a little Top Gun Maverick-y. It was just an absolute blast. I also think when the espionage bits are working, because it is trying to be an espionage movie, it's trying to be a spy thriller, and I think when it works really well. It's not always working. There's some things that they try to keep as like this secret and this big reveal. Oh, this is what's actually happening, and man, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe other people were totally blown away by that, but the reveal is like, to me, they explain what's going on, and I'm like, yeah, why was that not your very first thought? I also think, as a side note, Isaiah Bradley and Joaquin Torres, both really fun adds to this movie. They both bring a very different energy, and I think both are fun energies to bring. Joaquin took me a second to get used to. I think he's got that kind of brash, cocky energy, and he just seems like such a nice guy that I don't completely buy it, and I think they're riding that line between him being cocky and just being nice mostly well, but it does kind of feel like he's almost faking being cocky sometimes. Last good thing about this movie, and it's again not really connected to the movie as much, I appreciate that this isn't just Cameo City. There's nothing wrong with that. Deadpool was really fun. I liked Multiverse of Madness. It's fun to see cameos of characters you know and wanted to see for a long time. That's all good. This just isn't that kind of movie, and I appreciate that they know that this isn't that kind of movie, and they're not trying to make it that kind of movie because they think it'll sell more. I don't know. I appreciate that they know this is a movie that needs to be a little bit tightened up. That said, again, crazy that Hulk isn't in this, but I guess I would rather them do less cameos than too many, so I'll go with it. There's my overall thoughts. Captain America Brave New World, I think it's okay to good. I think a lot of it works really well, and a lot of it really doesn't, and that's a shame. I wanted it to be better, but I'm not disappointed. I'll watch this movie again. I'll pop it on. I'll put it as a part of my Captain America watch through. It's a good, solid Captain America movie. And again, I think it sets the stage for Sam Wilson's Captain America to have a really incredible sequel. And I hope it happens. Moving on to some quick spoilers. Why can't he keep the wings? This is the fourth time that he's lost his wings. They've been torn off so many times. These ones are made of vibranium. You can't keep doing this. I had this thought rewatching Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Every time they tear off his wings, they make it feel like it's this huge big deal, like you're breaking Captain America's shield, but then they do it pretty much every time he shows up in a thing. It would be like if Thor's hammer broke literally every movie. The only other real spoiler I can talk about is Samuel Stearns is the villain. That's the leader from the comics, the guy who got some blood in his head from the Incredible Hulk. Again, a thing that I conceptually is really interesting and fun that they've chosen to bring back. But I don't enjoy the way that they did his character very much. I think visually he looks fine. He looks wild, and he's supposed to look wild. His head could have been bigger and taller, whatever, it doesn't matter. The thing that gets me is that he's that kind of character. He's the trope of character that can see all the future possibilities and can work out all the mathematics of, oh, what are the probabilities that somebody's gonna do whatever, which makes him like this mastermind kind of guy. He can make these really elaborate plans and achieve whatever goals he's trying to achieve, which on its face is an interesting character. But this version of him was not that smart. Like, none of the things that he did, I mean, he did some nefarious things. He dosed the Thunderbolt Ross with the Gamma and made him turn into the Red Hulk. Sure, that's not bad. He found a way to mind control people through a prison cell, which, yeah, really smart. That's great. But like, for what? Like, for what purpose? A lot of this movie feels like choices that we're supposed to believe were really smart and planned out the whole time, but end up just kind of feeling like there would be a much easier way to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish here. His whole plan is he's trying to take down the career, the legacy of Thaddeus Ross, which is an interesting motivation. And in the same way, it's interesting that Ross's motivation is trying to cover up as much of the horrible stuff he did as he can. But Stern throughout this movie keeps talking about all the probabilities and how he's surprised and he's never been surprised before, which can't possibly be true. Like, there's absolutely no way in 2012 he heard about an alien invasion and he was like, well, sure, we all thought that was coming. Like, it's this version of this character that I know what they were trying to do, and I think it's an interesting thing, and I think that it's good that they didn't kill him. He can show back up and do something again later if they want to. But I think I really pinpointed what was so frustrating about him in that post-credits where he's talking about how, well, obviously, you don't know it yet, Captain America, but all the multiverses are gonna collide. That's not really what he said, but he said, like, all the worlds, there's other worlds, and they're all trying to protect themselves, and what's gonna happen when that collides. And it's like, he's predicting Secret Wars, basically. And for the fans, we're supposed to be like, oh, wow, he's talking about Secret Wars. The problem is, how would he possibly know that? I'm trying to think through, for this universe, what we've already had multiverse-wise. From the public perspective, Doctor Strange he just disappeared for a little bit. Deadpool, I don't think was in the Marvel Universe proper for more than a couple of minutes, so nobody would have known about that. And Spider-Man, granted, there are 3 Spider-Men and a bunch of different people coming through portals in the sky. I'm not saying that that's not weird. I just don't think people would immediately think it's the multiverse. I don't think that would be the initial thought. I think they'd be like, oh, that's strange. I thought there was 1 spider guy. Huh, I guess there's 3. Like, if you can accept 1, you can accept 3. You're not gonna be like, well, that doesn't make any sense. So the point being, from the perspective of the regular general public, the multiverse doesn't really exist. And from the perspective of somebody who's been in prison for the last many, many, many years, the multiverse definitely doesn't exist. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Captain America. I think a lot of it is frustrating. A lot of it is really good, and that's kind of frustrating. I wanted it to be all really good. At least it's not all really bad. I do think it's worth watching. I think if you wait to see it on Disney Plus or whenever it comes out, it wouldn't be a total loss. I don't think there's anything major that you're missing. There's a little bit with Bucky who shows up for a couple of minutes. There's a reveal there that he's like running for governor or whatever, Senate or whatever. There's no way we would elect a straight assassin, like on camera, on video assassin for our US government. But then again, we've elected stranger things in the real current world where we already live now. Anyway, Captain America Brave New World. I did like it. I didn't love it. I wanted to love it. What did you think of the movie? Have you seen it? Do you like it? Do you think I'm wrong? Let me know. I also think it's worth noting that maybe my viewing experience was not ideal because I did see this at like 9:45 in the morning, which is, I'll tell you what, my brain was so wholly unprepared to see a superhero movie at 9 in the morning. Waking up, having a coffee, and going to watch the new Marvel movie is absolutely not the way to do it for me. I think that they are later night, they're evening events, they're get ready through the whole day, get excited, go see the movie. It's definitely not groggily watch Captain America fight the Red Hulk. Thank you for watching this video and checking out my channel. If you'd like to hear more of my thoughts on Hulk, comics, Red Hulk, Blue Hulk, Green Hulk, Orange Hulk, maybe. Is there an Orange Hulk? I don't think so. Anyway, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and comment down below what you'd like me to review next. Or do none of that because I am not your dad.